Do you wanna live? Or do you wanna die? Take a stand. Get up. Break years of limitations, make the greatness. Spiritual courage is the genius of this maintenance. Become a rule as battle is present. Look around, see the system failed it. Energy is shot, gon' liberate the soul. Resurrected from the tomb, my agon flow smooth. Taking back our creation, balancing the nation. Steady in creation, casualties at war. Behold the pale horse, first defense and strides. In keeping your family tight with the strength of the Garveyites. Unity and community sustains our future lives. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living by community gaining. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living, true and maintaining. Self-sufficiency, family, gather up, make a life purpose, claim it. Break it, this the time to make it. Leaving modern day enslavement, tap into the matrix. Exit what is fatal, breathing from the navel. Life is in an angle, which is not a tangle. Many was been weaved, so weather showing shangle. Cap for the feed, oil cleanses mango. Penetrate the panel, materials in the helix. Many come to free it, no need to believe it. Genetics show the secret, when do we free up? What time is really freeing? Put all of your time against your family tree. Indeed a tragedy, my next seed won't receive amongst the skid ski. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living by community gaining. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living, true maintaining. Self-sufficiency, family, gather up, make a life purpose, claim it. Dollar bill won't make me in the here and now. Freedom is the key to a prosperous life. Amongst the melanite, conquer this fight. My adversary has me on flight. Show you what's right, lesson and strife. Living godlike, own land, plan again, self-sustaining and strive. So the next generation won't beg a thing twice. Moving with confidence, plan, action, and production inside. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living by community gaining. Self-sufficiency, family, time to make a living, true maintaining. Self-sufficiency, family, gather up, make a life purpose, claim it.
Are you ready to take action and rise to the next stage of your evolution? Then monthly life coaching services at osirislife.com are just for you. Osiris Life does not just focus on spiritual development. We offer a holistic approach to helping you realize your goals and teach you the tools to overcome any barriers to your success. Services at Osiris Life are provided on a monthly basis and include, but are not limited to, spiritual consultations and one-on-one coaching, instructionals via podcasts and videos, life mapping and goal tracking, anonymity, spiritual work done on your behalf, and there are 3 package levels to choose from. Take the steps to get your life on track and flourishing by purchasing a subscription package today at osirislife.com. We invite you to share in the power of goodwill by becoming an Anu Nation sponsorship partner. Anu Nation is a community design organization whose programs and services often depend on sponsors and philanthropic support from foundations, businesses, and generous individuals like you. Our sponsorship program provides involvement by our affiliates in the 5 major markets, plus the impact of an international media campaign. By partnering with us, you join a powerful movement that supports thousands of people who find healing and personal growth and development with our help. For more information and to purchase a sponsorship package today, please visit us at inunation.org/anu/sponsor-us.
All right. Peace and welcome everyone to another segment of Thunderground Thursday on enlightenment and transformation. And I want to welcome you to this experience, those of you who are consistently and forever listening from the archives. Again, I always give the shout outs to the archive listeners. One of the reasons, because I know a lot of people do listen from the archives. I know that many folk have to work with their schedules, and their schedules don't allow them to always tune in when the shows are broadcasting live. So I like to always just make sure I acknowledge all who are coming in from every different angle that they possibly can. All right, but tonight's show, which I think will be interesting for us all. Let me bring in some of my, I like to surround myself with my images and my art sometimes when I'm working. But yeah, I think tonight's segment will be an interesting one for many different reasons, and mainly because it's a topic that's been it's connected to what we were talking about recently and our discussions surrounding just some of the elements that are sometimes present when we're unable to advance forward, and we're trying to figure out, well, why is that? What's actually going on, and what's present that's keeping me from taking things to the next level? As many of you know, Thunderground Thursdays is a segment that pivots itself around the concept of spiritual activism. So with the idea of spiritual activism, obviously the active component there is action. The spirit just being an adjective. The type of action we're taking is spiritual action, and really you begin to learn eventually that all action is spiritual, but sometimes it's just hard to pick up that foot and step down in that first place, or you just don't know how to begin to remove some of the elements around you that are creating this constant cycle of nothingness. And that's why last strong we discuss sentimentality, and how the concept or the active action of sentimentality a lot of times can be our greatest deterrent to any type of mature and truthful action, because it creates this really fantastic cognitive dissonance that surrounds itself with superstition and tradition, or just sometimes family custom or social custom, and a lot of times it becomes the mask that we all wear, those of us who have been numbed to real feeling and real empathy. We create this sense of sentimentalism, and that sense now covers up some of our deficit. So there's another element there that's present, and as I forewarned everyone, before we did the segment, I said that those particular segments that we would be doing were going to be part of a larger series. It's basically a large thought that I had, and in having that large thought, I had to sit back and say, okay, what are all the things that are, not all of them, but a lot of the things that are necessary in order to make a person move forward. And my work that I've been doing over these, I don't want to say many years sometimes. I know for some, they're surprised how long I've been consistent in terms of communal work and just diving into spiritual information. But I don't consider it to be a very long time in comparison to some of the individuals who I may admire, who have been doing this work longer than I've been alive. So in proportion to the amount of years that I've been on the planet, I've been doing certain things for a very long time in proportion just to that. Okay, if we look at the ratio, and with that, there's certain things that I've seen consistently pop up in terms of the source of depression and sadness for some, the source for inhibition in others, the source of great confusion. And some of these elements that I've seen come up consistently have been common throughout. And like I said, one of them was sentimentality, misplaced sentimentality. or misconstrued and misunderstood sentimentality. So one of the other aspects that I wanted to look at with you all was loyalty. Okay, loyalty. And I'll probably do an addendum video as a part of that Warrior Code video set that I was doing. I don't think I've done one all year, really. I think about it. But a part of that Warrior Code video that I was doing, I did integrity and honor and, character. But loyalty is a key one. And a lot of times with loyalty, it can be confused with so many different things that a lot of times when we're quick to call a person disloyal, they in fact are not really being disloyal towards us. Sometimes we throw blanket statements over people, over situations and experiences without really looking at the core and the root of what really went on to begin with. It's kind of like when you ask someone to tell you the truth, they tell you the truth and you say, "Oh, you're so mean." Well, the root was you asked for the truth. And for some, the truth can be a dividing point. That's where the division occurs between where their loyalty will be and where their sacrifice will be. So truth is always a good tool to use in order to shine light on all of the entities around you. Even when you're dealing with microbacteria and different organisms and parasites, in bright light, they do not survive very well. They do best in cold, damp places when they have a feeding source and there's no light shined on them. And when you shine that light of truth, it's very difficult for parasites to exist in your presence. So I wanted to explain something first, or really just share a scenario first. And when these segments are done, they're always so on time. And what I mean by that, I know many of you a lot of times tell me, "Wow, that's just what I needed to hear." I was going through something similar like that. But aside from what you experience a lot of times, the experience for me sometimes is just as profound, in the sense that a lot of times I'll think about a topic maybe earlier in the day, and then I may have a conversation, or someone asks me about something, or it could be in a consultation, and something related to it is brought up. So I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to give you another example. Then we're going to get into the idea a little bit more. But I was speaking to someone earlier today, and I said this is a good opportunity, to really explore the idea more. But I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he was telling us about something that happened with another friend of ours. And there's like a brotherhood between all of us, right? We've known each other, for all of us have known each other for many years. And I guess I would be somewhat of the wayward one in terms of culture. I would be the one who has taken a very external and alternative approach to how I live my life in comparison to them. But we still relate on many things. And I was sharing that, and I was saying, I really don't need to speak to you guys at all. Sometimes we don't, get to meet up and speak. For years may go by. And I said, that's because I really have no desires or aims or objectives towards you or anything that you may possess. So I don't need to consistently be in your face. There's nothing I want from you, nothing that I need from you. Whatever exists between us is a very natural and organic thing, or a natural and organic relationship and connection. So he was sharing that because most of them, they're all pretty much church guys, right? And bishops and pastors and big people in their own right now. And one was saying to me, he said, well, we had a funny incident where years ago, one of them used to have a church, and he said that during service, the other one, the one I was with today, showed up at the church. Funny to say, none of these guys really go to church anymore. But at one point, they were very active and big names. At least two of them were very big names, and two of them decided not to go anymore. But He said when he went into the church, the our other friend who's a pastor, was a pastor, said, "Hey, my man is here. My man is here." He said, "This is my right hand man," and he brought him up to the front. And he was like, "This is my right hand. This is a man." He began to describe the friendship. Someone who's been with me for years and has supported me, and was here when I was putting doing the carpentry on this building. Because this particular friend of ours, he built his church. Literally, he built his church. From the ground up. He just had an empty space, and he took out his tools and his lumber, and he actually built the space. He was very committed and very dedicated into this idea of creating a space specifically for young people, because even though it was a church, it was probably more of an open mic and jazz club than it was a church. We all together, our connection really surrounds music. We all used to produce together, so that element was always, or is always, present. So he said when that occurred, he actually had members who were thrown back by that, and some even left the church. It created a domino effect of issues after that, having this quote unquote stranger come in and saying that this is someone who is close to me, and showing this individual a measure of favor in that environment was offensive to those who were there and were vying for that same level of affection and attention. So, they were speaking about it amongst themselves. And I said, well, that was a test of individuals' loyalty. And of course, they were like, what do you mean loyal? How would that be loyalty? So, what I explained to them, and I will give you this scenario to open it up even wider for all of you listening. And I said, what it basically is this. I said, imagine if you lived in a home, and every day, like one day I came by that home and I bought you a bunch of groceries, like bags and bags of groceries, right? And I said, well, the first time I would come, you would be excited. You would say, oh, thank you so much. What did I do to deserve this? You would be overwhelmed with gratitude, because you did nothing to deserve it. Of course, you don't know me, particularly. You don't know what I may have had to have done to have gotten those groceries for you. And you don't really even know why I'm giving it. It's just what we call grace. So I said, let's say if I came and I came by every Saturday dawning and bought you these groceries and just said, no, you enjoy this. You enjoy this. So each time, the second time I come and you just is excited. Wow, thank you so much for these groceries. I come a third time. Thank you. Fourth time. A whole month has gone by, and every Saturday I have brought you groceries, right? And you're shocked, like, I can't believe this person is just showing me this much favor and affection and love and gifts. So what happens is that next month, Saturday at that same time, what do? You look out the window. You're waiting for me to come with the groceries. And I come and you say, thank you. Next Saturday, you look out, I come, you say, thank you. That happens that entire month. You look out for me. You know I'm coming, right? So you begin to expect those gifts. You begin to expect those blessings. Many of you use that. And just keep a note that the term blessing means to cover with blood. So, but I know you guys like to use it. But those gifts, right? And you come to expect that, right? So then the third month comes, and I show up late. What do you say? Where you at with my groceries, man? I have things to do today. You just let me know when you're going to be late. It's okay. I appreciate and everything, but just let me know when you're going to show up late. You do that the third month. Now, not only are you expecting it, you have now defined the parameters of our relationship by me gifting this to you, this unmerited favor. So now the fourth month comes, and what happens? You see me come, and when I come down your street, instead of turning into your driveway, I go to your neighbor's house. I knock on your neighbor's door, and I give them the groceries, and they do the same thing you did on day one. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Oh, we really needed this. Thank you. And da 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 da. They're going crazy. And what do? You flip out. Yo, how you gonna get them groceries? Nah, nah, da 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 da. Those are for me. That's what you're gonna say. My groceries. Those are for me. Without ever recognizing and realizing that they were never yours to begin with. And what the natural and divine reaction should be is, okay, you're going to my neighbors. You should go to your neighbors and say, hey, you lucked up. I guess your number was called or whatever this thing is about. But, it really helped me and my family out the times that he was coming and bringing us those groceries. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. You see, but a lot of times our reaction is to become upset, is to become angry because someone is receiving something that we perceived to be ours, that we owned. And it doesn't work that way. So in the environment, like what he was describing with this church, and, he came to the, to visit the church one day, and the guy, like he said, hey, this is my main man, this is my friend. I'm glad he showed up, and everyone got upset because whatever gifts, whatever work, sitting there at night and building a church with your bare hands and then being a pastor of said church, probably investing the most money even in the monthly rent, we go down the list, that became the expected parameters of the relationship between that individual and that congregation. You see, no one was saying, well, he's doing all of these things by grace. There are other things that he can be doing with his life, but instead he's helping us out right now. He's creating an environment for us where we can get together in fellowship and this and that and that. That's not the thought. The thought is, this is ours, period. We expect this, period. So when people see that you have the propensity to share what is already yours with others by grace, they turn on you. So this is the aspect of disloyalty. So when your mind, all this time, you're thinking that they're showing up and they're present because you're all loyal to the same mission. Just like when I come to the home and I share food, we're all thinking, well, I'm thinking that we're all loyal to this mission of sharing and grace. And that's what I'm excited to give it. You're excited to receive it. I could never once imagine that that's not where your loyalties lie. But in fact, you're only loyal to the reality and the idea of getting something from me. And once the parameters of that relationship change, you change. But I'm doing what I was doing before. I'm sharing and I'm giving. See, a lot of times when you're dealing with loyalty, where it gets a little tricky for people is the aim. Sometimes the individuals who are around us, they have misguided loyalties, or they have very directed loyalties, but our perception of those loyalties is a bit misguided. So because our perception of those loyalties is a bit misguided, when things go awry, we come into this space where now we feel like we've been put on a chopping block. And this is a common thing that comes up a lot. A lot of the individuals who I work with, I see this common theme and this common issue that they speak about in terms of we'll just say people doing them dirty, or people doing them wrong, or people forsaking them, and people betraying them. Of course, obviously, I mainly hear about that in relationships. And I would have to say that it's usually more serious relationships, or sometimes people find that to be a theme in their life. They give themselves to a person, or they help a person, and it seems like those people always turn around later stabbing them in the back as they perceive it. Or those people turn around later and show the most treacherous and traitorous of behaviors. And they can't understand, and they come to me and they cry. Sometimes if you listen to the segments in the shows, you'll hear them crying on the shows. I gave my all. I gave this, I gave that. I was here, I was present, I was doing this, I was doing that. And in the end, they turned around and did this. They turned around and did that. And you'll find that a lot of times when they turn around and do that that thing will usually require turning you into a monster. So you'll end up they'll make up something, right? And there's a lot of confusion surrounding that. So then when a person like me comes to you and says, it would be a good thing if you helped your community, if you learned Ifa, learned Orisha so that you can service your people, service the world and provide unconditional service, the thought of that alone is painful. Because you now associate the unconditional service that you've given towards a goal or towards an individual has always been repaid with treachery and pain. So you say, no, I just got to get myself together first. I really don't have time to do things like that or to help at that level, because that's where the pain is at, you see. But I will say this to you. You are feeling that level of pain because of your investment in fantasy and sentimentality. And I'm going to show you how. So when I was speaking to my friend earlier and I shared this, I said, well, look at it from this perspective. I said, a lot of times it's not the mission that we're on that individuals are loyal to. And that's what we get confused with. Because I was explaining to them, one of the individuals we were talking, for years he's been wanting to do this ministry where he basically, how can I put it? He deals with people where they're at. It's not even a Christian ministry, but he wants to do a ministry that's, because he doesn't even like to be identified as a Christian anymore. Let me clear some of this stuff up, because I joked with him earlier and said it, and he said, don't call me a Christian. So through the years of his learning and being around, some of the teachings and things that I've been sharing with him, it's been to give you an idea of sometimes the amount of time you got to put in. I've been in his ear for over 20 years, and some years back, not to say that he totally renounced everything that he believed in, but he definitely realized that his investments in what he believed in were not the best investments, and he needed to learn more. So he's in a space now where he wants to learn all about 120, and he wants to read the Quran, and he wants to learn about Diop, and he wants to learn about Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, and he loves Shahrazad, and he's opening himself up to a deeper level of information, a more profound level of information. Sometimes it takes a long time. But when you're loyal to the love and the friendship or the brotherhood or the sisterhood that you have between an individual, that love is a transforming element. It's a transforming force. Love transforms. And if the love is true and it's authentic, you won't be asking questions like, how long is this going to take? You hear that so many times when people speak about spiritual work. Well, if I do this and do that, how long is that going to take? And for you, forever. Most likely, it won't even work. Most likely. Because your heart is not there. Your aim and objective and agenda has nothing to do with how that particular force or energy vibrates. So what I was sharing with him earlier, I was saying a lot of times, because he has this idea, he always wanted to start this like educational and cultural ministry in New York area, in the Bronx, and really teach young people basically a rites of passage. It's cultural. A lot of times when you're coming from perspectives where you haven't really been in the conscious community and you have these ideas, they're old ideas, but you just don't realize it. You don't realize that this is something we've been doing for years. And you don't always want to, sometimes you want to tell somebody a little bit, but you want to also have them be excited about the thought that maybe they came up with something, but it's basically a rites of passage program. But he wants to make that a ministry unto itself, because that's the language and the terminology that he thinks through. Okay, that might be an interesting combination. Imagine a church that's completely rites of passage based, that takes out the Jesus figure and inserts these other messiahs who have brought us truth and information. Now I've done this already myself, but I encourage him in the idea. So I gave him this example. I said, what if you were married to a woman, though, who always wanted to be a bishop's wife? And when she met you, you were on your way to becoming a bishop. So it works out perfect. She's loyal. You're loyal to creating a church or whatever and being that bishop. And she's loyal to the idea of becoming a bishop's wife. And I said, but then what happens if she makes a determination one day that that's no longer what she needs in her life? Or you make the determination one day where you become conscious and you're like, you know what? I don't even want that type of scenario. I want a rites of passage program. I don't want to do that. So what happens now is your mission has shifted, and it gives an opportunity for those around you to see where the loyalty is. So like with these fellas, they've gone in and out of church, different things, and whatever it is that they're doing, I'm loyal to the brotherhood. Now, there's a cutoff. Probably we would spend more time. Well, I'm not really being around men that much, but maybe we would spend more time together and things like that if we were doing the same type of things. But I know where the boundaries and parameters are, where I say, listen, you can't come here. Like, don't pass that door. And it's respected. Like, certain times, if they're in my space, they'll say, can I go in this room? Or can I? They know, and I've never showed up in anyone's try. They know I'm not interested. Don't call me with Thanksgiving. They know. So I said, now you have this scenario, and you have this female with you who you're married to, who is committed to this idea of being with a bishop's wife. And what you don't realize is that that's her agenda. Her agenda is to be with a bishop's wife, or to be a bishop's wife. Ooh. Yeah, sometimes it's that too, But then you have the idea of where you're aiming at. You're aiming to create this ministry where you end up being a bishop. Now, she may shift her attention and her agenda and say, I'm ready to do this. So now what happens is that you don't realize that maybe her loyalties will now shift, because her loyalties were never rooted in you. They were never rooted in what you were about. They were never rooted in your mission or seeing you be the best or seeing you elevated. They were rooted in this one vision and idea. So when when her agenda shifts, perceivably her loyalty shifts, and vice versa. If you decide one day, hey, I don't want to be a bishop, I want to be this, but her agenda is still based on being a bishop's wife. I want to be a big woman. I want to wear this humongous hat in church with the fruit basket all over, swirling around the side of it. I want to be that woman. I want that place of honor, and you can give me that place of honor. Then what will happen if you shift and say, well, I see a higher and better thing that I can do for my people? Then you get to really see where her loyalties lie. And a lot of times you'll find out, and it'll be a painful process, that her loyalties never lied with you, but they lied with the vision. Then you'll say, so then what will happen is what? She'll turn on you, as far as you see. But what it is this. When someone has an aim or desire to do or be a certain thing, anyone and anything that does not support that mission or that idea becomes inconsequential. So if her agenda is still based on being the wife of a particular type of person, you make the decision that I no longer want to be that type of person, then now she treats you just like any other inconsequential person. All of a sudden now, things that you would have said to her before now become a huge issue. Who are you talking to? Don't talk to me like that. Who are you? Because you're no one to her now. You see, because you have now stepped outside of the parameters and the goals of what her agenda was. And the agenda was never about you. Okay. And sometimes it's the other way around too. Your agenda was never about her. You were never for one another. Now, this happens in friendships. Like I said, with this set of friends I have, We've never had any issue like that because my agenda with them has never been rooted in what they can do for me, and vice versa. They all have different talents. Like I have one of them, he's good working on stuff. So I'm good working on things too. So when I see him and he comes over my house, I know that if I'm working on a project, I can get it done faster. So I'll tell him like, yo, when you come by, help me, doing the boom, 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 and put a new toilet and, help me install this toilet, or I got to put some sheetrock or whatever, but that's not, my agenda is not based around what he can do for me. I have another friend that's really good with one of them, the one in particular. He's really good with graphic design. He's an excellent artist. I'm not. So whenever he's around, I'll say, hey, trace this for me, draw this, or it may even be something visual. Hey, how's this look? This look, should I change it? This, not that, but again, my agenda with them is not based around what they can do for me. So my loyalties are not rooted upon what they can do. My loyalties are rooted upon what we be with one another, what we be to one another. That's where my loyalties are rooted, in the beingness, not in the doingness, because the doingness changes. The one who's really good at graphic design, one day he may, have a situation where he bumps his head, he can't draw anymore. The other one who's good with his hands may just decide he doesn't feel like doing that anymore. So then what will typically happen? Well, then that means that the parameters of our relationship would typically change. We wouldn't be friends anymore. But the truth is, I didn't flip on them. I wasn't disloyal to them. I was never loyal in the first place. I was loyal to the agenda of what they could provide. And once they ceased to provide that, the parameters of how we were going to operate with each other were bound to change. So loyalty is a key component to think about a lot of times for those of you who have suffered from, or you feel like you've suffered from a measure of betrayal, or you feel like you've suffered from just a measure of traitorous activity or treachery. And I, as I'm speaking, I have a few of you in mind. Some of you, see, I got to take a little pause for a second. Why would you use a razor on top of my table to cut something? Now you're going to cut it inside your hand. Okay. Woosah. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay. If you guys keep, I know you've been, as I'm talking, you keep hearing these little pops with my fingers. That's me telling someone not to do something. Anytime you hear that, and I'm doing these shows, and you hear somebody's doing something ridiculous around me. But anyway, going back to loyalty. So a lot of times, and I'm thinking about some of you as I'm speaking, and I'm thinking about some who call into the shows and crying, I was married for such and such years. I did everything. And they still did this. Or I had business partners and they turned around and did this. Or, my family, when I became conscious, they did this. And a lot of times, some of you need to sit back and take proper assessment. And that assessment requires a question. Is anyone in my circle actually loyal to me? Not to, and being loyal to me means that, you got two things. Are you loyal to me, or / and loyal to the mission that I say makes me what I am? Or are you loyal to what that mission will bring to your life? Or are you loyal to what I bring to your life? It's a very simple assessment that many should give themselves the opportunity and the gift of sitting back one day and asking themselves, let's look around my circle. Who is dealing with me at this time and there's no agenda present? Who's dealing with no agenda? Who doesn't want anything from me other than my love? Like one of the individuals in our little brotherhood circle, I've always said that about him. I tell him all the time, I say, you're absolutely worthless. I can't count on you for anything. In fact, when I ask him for things is when he becomes super unreliable. All of a sudden now he's flaky, no gas in the car, don't know how to get there. I don't know how to jack up no car. Anything that you come up with, as soon as you ask for something, it's like he becomes completely incompetent. But when everything's cool, he's the most talented individual you'd want to be around. He can do anything, juggle, ride a unicycle, play a harmonica, anything. But one thing, and I've always said this, I said, you good for one thing. That's it. I know you love me. That's it. Now, I know that may sound like, well, ain't about nothing. But it's something to know that you're loved. There's a lot of people who go through life and don't have anyone who they know actually. Maybe they're not going to, because you might have people who are going to take care of you, who are going to be attentive to you, and we could go on down the list. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing those things out of love. It doesn't mean that they're doing those things out of love. They could be doing those things to get to, as per their agenda dictates. You see, this individual, the love is so real, he ain't doing nothing. Nothing. You ask him it, nah, man, I'm tired. I just woke up. Yeah, anything. Because I remember one of our other friends cursed him out once, like real bad. And this is when he was a pastor. This is the one who built the church. And I mean, I'm a strong investor. I have a pretty much diversified portfolio of different profanities from all around the world that I invest in. So I'm pretty good with that, even though you guys don't hear me speak like that, because I'm a responsible profaner. But he went off, and the friend who's unreliable at the end was just like, yeah, whatever, man. So what else you up to? It didn't even faze him, like not even a little bit, because ultimately he knew, this is what I am in this circle. You all know this, but I love you and you love me, and no one's cutting anybody off. We're brothers. And it's annoying, but there is a truism to it. And sometimes you don't even find that amongst your family. You may find that they'll help you out. They'll service you to give you a place to live when you fall flat. They may help you with your car and stuff, but you don't feel that vein and string of love attached to those offerings, attached to those gifts. It's not, you don't feel, a lot of times, and when you don't feel that, that there's something else that's fueling it, making you not want it, because it comes with something. It doesn't feel good. It comes with either obligation, or it comes, and the obligation could be to elevate them. Just like in a situation when you have a ministry, you have an organization. I deal with this all the time. Sometimes people offer to do things, but I know the offering is based on them wanting me to elevate them to a certain space, whether it be through initiation or just through association. And I don't want that. It doesn't feel good. There's a difference between that and someone giving something because they're loyal to what you be, and they want you to be more of what you be. Huge difference. As opposed to them wanting to be more of what you be in order to do more of what you do, so that way it will do something for them. That will always create a breakdown in what you perceive to be as loyal. But I'm going to say this for all of you, and I'm going to just have to say it, for all of you women who have called into my show crying about this very thing, I will tell you this. Those individuals were never loyal to you to begin with. They were loyal to their agenda. And once they realized that you could not serve that agenda any further, they went on, as any agenda, objective, or mission would dictate. It needs to be fed and it needs to stay alive. And once they realized that you couldn't continue to feed whatever that agenda was, they moved on to where it could be fed. That's why so many of you call and you say, I had a man break down to me about a year ago in a dollar store. I don't know if I mentioned this on the air or not, but he had been left in a relationship. I think the woman went off with someone else or something like that, and I met him. He was just working in the store, and I got those kind of eyes that they look pretty plain. So it's, I'm like, I got those eyes that people want to talk to me about stuff, even when I'm just trying to go and grab something real quick, So I was like, hey, is this, no, there was a person asking for something. He's like, do you guys sell so-and-so? And he had he was like, sir, whatever's here on the shelves is what we have. Then he looked at me like, oh, these people. I'm like, well, I'm shopping here, so I'm like one of these people, So he was, I don't know how we started talking. It was a while ago now, but within a minute, he was crying. And he was talking about and this is like a big white biker type looking. And, he already looked kind of weird in the dollar store doing inventory with the little dollar store, dollar value vest on. And, it looked like a tank top on him. And he was like, she just threw me away. I just feel thrown away. And all of my buddies are like, just get over it, man. Get over it. And I just can't. I just feel like I just got thrown away. And I did so much for her and for her daughter and this and that, and like none of it matters. He was like, I bought her a motorcycle, everything, man, and just threw me away. And he was like, every 3 minutes he's just crying. He talks a little bit, breaks down, cries, talks a little, breaks down, and he was like, man, when are you coming back to the store? He was like, because I was talking to him, of course. He was like, I really appreciate this so much, bro. He was like, when are you coming back to the store? Can we just come back sometime and just check on me? And I won't speak about what happened because we had a good long talk, and I shared some things with him. But one of the things I did share with him is, she was never present, man. She was on a mission, and you were a stage and a step in that mission, and I can guarantee you the signs were there, but you ignored them from the beginning, and you feel tossed away. But what else do we do with things when they no longer suit our purposes? Most of this stuff, and I said most of the stuff you guys are selling in this store is something that the bigger name stores threw away. These little snack cakes. These things have been on the shelf for 2 years now. Send them to the dollar store. Send them to the junk heap. So I was saying it's kind of symbolic that you would even be working in here now. He's like, yeah, because I'm in debt now. She did something. I don't remember what it was. So he was like, I actually work there was an auto parts store in that same like little strip mall. He was like, I actually work at the auto parts store, and I come here on my off days to try to make some extra money. So it was kind of fitting, of course, But I say that to all of you sisters, women who call in, and you're crying about situations like that where you feel like you were betrayed and someone was treacherous towards you and they tossed you to the side. You got to understand that it was never about you. Don't use it as an indictment towards yourself to say, well, this is why I'm no good. This is why no one loves me. This is why no one will ever love me. Most likely it had so little to do with you. Not to say that you were a perfect person. They did you wrong, because you might have been a dirty person, so you attracted a dirty person. That's always a possibility. But I will tell you that in most likelihood, in those situations where you feel like someone was disloyal to you, they weren't disloyal. You were disloyal to the truth. You were disloyal to reality. You extracted your investment in truth. You extracted your investment in reality. And you got to understand one thing about truth and reality: it requires ultimate loyalty. Ultimate. There's no wavering on it. You have to be totally committed to the point that you may even war against your family members for the truth. That's what truth requires. You may war against your children. You may war against your mother, your mother-in-law, or your father and your father-in-law, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother. Truth requires the ultimate sacrifice of loyalty. Why? Because truth needs to be carried on and held. Truth is carried forward. That's why you find that many great leaders who have started great movements, they became martyrs. And they knew they were going to be martyrs. They foresaw it. So they required ultimate loyalty in those who followed them and those who were around them, those who said, yeah, I'm a part of this thing here. They required that ultimate sacrifice of loyalty because they knew that they were going to ultimately sacrifice themselves for the truths that they were invested in. That's how much they went to that. They knew they maybe already started losing everything. Because when you're about a mission of core truth, you're going to lose most things, if not everything. The earth is going to be separated from spirit at some moment. And your only investment that you're going to be able to hold on to is to the spiritual essence and actuality of that mission or that thing. And all others around you will drop away and fade away. And that's when you'll truly be tested. So even when you guys get into these relationships and you say, oh, so-and-so did this to me, so-and-so did that to me, I can tell you that oftentimes that's not what's happening at all. They have a mission and you have a mission. And your missions have not synced up because a lot of times you left the truth in order to invest in the fantasy. So the beautiful thing about the divine will always let you know what you have invested in. It won't strip things from you. It doesn't do that. It just lets you know so you can see it for what it is. You know, okay, this is what you want to make your God. This person you want to make your God, or that. So let me show you what it really is. So even if your mission is about nation building and community building, what does the divine do? It shows you what a nation really is. It shows you what a community really is. Look at how many of our great leaders were killed by their own. Because you need to see these are the people that you're trying to save. This is it right here. These are the people that you want to go live on land with, and you want to educate and teach and tell them about their greatness. This is them. Now it gives you an opportunity to say, do you really still want to do this? Is this really still where your heart is at? Or do you want to say the heck with all of them? They're all rotten. I'm just going to go do my own thing. So then your loyalty is tested. So I'm going to get into our next segment. I'm going to get into how we defeat some of that, how we defeat the disloyal person or the perceptions of disloyalty so that we don't end up in that trick bag again. You know, that's what it really is. It's a trick bag. You know, how we can avoid from being in that space again. And having to call in later on Chief Speaks and shows of the like and crying and saying, oh, I'm so hurt, I'm so lonely, this person did this to me, this person did that to me. You know, these are the things that we need to deal with, honestly, especially as we come to the end of the financial 2015 year. Let's decide how we want to go into 2016. If we want to maintain these vestiges of sentimentalism and these vestiges of misconstrued and ill-perceived loyalty and these vestiges of sick and perverted self-entitlement, let's really look at what that's going to look like for us next year. Can we really build a nation on top of that? Can we build a family on top of that? Can we build ourselves as better people on top of those type of ideas? And if not, which you know the answer is not, then we need to address it with mature realism. Mature realism, which is really sobering up and saying, this is what it really is. And even when I'm moving towards a certain mission in life, this is what it's really going to look like. Is my heart still there? If I pursue this mission, you may decide, you know, many people ask me all the time, man, I think you should be huge. Everybody should know about you. That's not a part of my mission. I could be if I wanted to be. I know how to, you know, go out there and make myself a social sensation. You know, I'm smart enough to figure that out. It's not that difficult. But that's not what my mission requires. So what my mission requires means that because there's so much truth involved in the teachings of Anu and what I'm sharing with you, that there's going to be a lot of sacrifice. The more truth there is, the more sacrifice there is. So even when you're in a relationship, some of you have had this, ladies, and I've been on the wrong side of this as a young man. when a woman finally opens up to you, what do? We leave. You know, I had years ago, I remember I had to explain this to a woman later because she wasn't just letting it go. She hugged me. I hadn't seen her for maybe 14 days or so. Gave her a hug when I walked through the door. And she said, "Oh, it feels so good to be in your arms again." And I didn't like that at all. And I took like 3 months, and she's like, "What's going on? Why are you not returning my calls?" And then that. And I had to finally say, because when you said that, I didn't like how it felt. It felt like, we were doing something more than just having, bangathons every week, So, cover your ears, boy. Don't be laughing at that. So, sometimes it's that truth. When that truth comes forward, it scatters away the parasites who are about a different mission. In that moment, I was parasitical. I was about a different mission. This was just total recreation for me, and for her, it was about connecting with someone that she really was enjoying or cared about. And I wasn't really worthy of that type of sentiment at that time and at that age with that particular person. So the light scattered me away, until I came back correct. Well, that's another story, right? But anyway, that has been our Thunderground Thursday, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. And I am Chief Yuya, and I always want to invite you to peruse our archives. And let me let you all know too that the archives can always be found on blogtalkradio.com for right now. I found out recently, or today, just that recent, that all of the archives are not in iTunes. Okay, so I think I don't know what happened. If maybe after a certain time they take some of the old ones, the older shows are not there. But it could also be because we changed the name of the show, so maybe that threw something wacky within iTunes. So we didn't take them down. If any of you thinking that we took the archives down, we actually didn't. And if you want to find any of those old archives, they're all still in Blog Talk Radio, and of course they're all still on YouTube. All of the old shows, you just have to do a search for them. All right. So just as a little note, and I will remind you all about the meditation webinar that's coming up in January. If you've experienced any of the previous webinars, I don't have to do a whole bunch. I don't talk about a whole bunch. You guys know I don't do a whole bunch of like, you don't want to miss this one. We're slashing prices. We're insane. I don't do too much of that. It's good stuff. Whatever our new does is good. We do good stuff. I'm not saying we're the best. I'm not saying we're the greatest. I'm just saying it's good. You're going to get something out of any experience that you have with us, whether it be a webinar, a book, a video, a free show, a reading, a consultation. You're going to appreciate what you received. And this meditation webinar will be no different. And I outlined what the webinars will be, as well as Next Strong's insight topics. I timed everything specifically, even based on the months, what vibrations are high for those months and what we need to be focused on. So I would urge you all, make every webinar, because each webinar is perfectly planned. Just like the last 3 we did, the herbs, oils, and alchemy. Everything is planned and timed in a certain way. And next year we even did it even more so, where my Sunday insights are corresponding with the webinar. Not the same topic. So you may look, well, no, you're talking about meditation, and in January you're also talking about success. Trust me, it's related. Nothing is slapped together. Just trust me on that one. There's a method to my manliness. I know what I'm doing. All right. So with that, I want to thank you all for tuning in, listening. This has been Thunderground Thursday on Enlightenment and Transformation. I will be right back tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Eastern for Foundational Friday. And until such time, everyone travel safe, travel well, and give yourself the gift of that question. Who is for me and what I be, and who is for what I do? All right. Until such time, everyone, one love, one truth, one light. Hotel.